What's up, YouTube? Sean here with In Spirit and Truth. And not to sound like I'm beating a dead horse here, but we're about a day away from inauguration now. It's the 19th, and I cannot escape diehard Trump supporters who are counting down to the deadline of Trump being able to make good on draining the swamp, and he's got the military mobilized in all these states, because all these guys are going to go down. First off, what are you going to do when that doesn't happen? Again, I want to point us back to Scripture, because I think we have a fundamental misunderstanding of what's going on here. We have case after case after case, story after story in the Bible, where when the people inside of God's camp are doing what's required of them, they're obedient to God through love, not obligation. They have right and just leadership, and everything goes well. And then when they start to wander off the beaten path, so to speak, God gives them some warnings. A prophet will show up and try to point them back in the right direction. They refuse to do it, and eventually God not only withdraws his hedge of protection from around them, but he ends up sending somebody else in to come and tear everything down and lead these people into captivity. And it's a reoccurring cycle. And the reason I bring this up is because according to polls, 80% of America is Christian. I strongly disagree with that. And maybe it's not that I disagree with that. I want to challenge what it means to be a Christian in our eyes versus how the Bible, describes what it means to be a faithful believer in God through Christ. If 80% of us are doing this right, or on the path to doing this right, this wouldn't be going down, folks. And I think one of the biggest problems is this universal salvation that's hinged to this man-made doctrine of once saved, always saved. I want to point you to James 2:19. You believe that there is one God? Good! Exclamation point. Even the demons believe that and shudder. So I think the implication there is that a Western view of belief that doesn't have anything to do with actions doesn't amount to a whole lot. Revelation 3:5, he that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment. And I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. So now we have a implication that's possible for somebody's name who's written in the book of life to be blotted out. And now I'm going to prove to you that that does, in fact, happen. This is Revelation 22:18 and 19. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. That was verse 18. Now here's 19. You ready for it? And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book. Did you catch that? God shall take away his part out of the book of life. You can't take something out of the book that wasn't written in the book. There's no such thing as once saved, always saved. This is exactly why Yeshua makes direct statements along the lines of, many will call me Lord, Lord, Lord on that day, and I will say, depart from me, I never knew you. And ultimately he sums it up by bringing it back to them and saying, depart from me, I never knew you, you worker of lawlessness. In another scripture he says, not everyone who calls me Lord shall enter the kingdom, but those who do the will of my Father. There is an obedience factor, guys. There's a relationship between salvation and works. You don't do works to earn salvation. We do works out of love because salvation has been presented to us. This stuff is going down the way it's going down because we're not doing things right. We've got to break away from the 43,000 plus denominations and all of their doctrines of men that they have forsaken the commandments of God to adhere to. So I love you guys, and just focus on the Lord. He's overcome the world. He's the one that's going to drain the swamp, not Trump. Have a blessed day.